All right,
Wait.
we are recording. Check. Just check your mic one more time.
Nah. Check.
All right. Here we go. Intro. Yeah, what's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Tina and Anderson Show. This is episode 5. Yeah, we're in episode 5 now, and it took us an hour to get this set up just because I couldn't figure out the volume or the audio for the TikTok video we're going to see later, even though I figured it out before. For some reason, I couldn't figure it out again.
It's probably going to happen again.
Yeah, I just can't. And then we're trying to set the display on the TV for us. Like last episode, it just went away, and then we had it already, and then it went away again on the TV. So just trying to figure things out. Yeah, it's not even working now. So
yeah, it's saying like, no signal. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird. It works one time, and then the next time it doesn't work.
I've connected everything the way I've always connected it, but I just can't seem to get it working correctly every time. I don't know. It's just a learning curve. So I pray that one day we'll get enough listeners when we get some sponsors, then I can just pay somebody to do this, set this all up, a professional. But until then, it's me. It's me. We're doing this. We are a 2-person operation. So, and we're not techie. We don't know what we don't know what we're doing. We don't.
You're kind of sort of techie. I'm just not at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like we said before, it took me like a year trying to relearn, and then things got in the way, and then had to relearn again. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. I'm just trying to turn the TV off now because
why are you pressing that button?
I'm just doing mute. Because it'll start making noise if we don't do anything, just like it did last episode.
It's gonna shut it off.
So yeah, thank you guys. If you guys tune in for the first time, I am Anderson. This is my wife Tina. We have been married for 21 years. 21. We have 3 children, and we have
3 children, and 2 are adults. Yeah, technically they're not children, but
24 and 19
are children.
So yeah, and we talk about marriage, relationships, parenting, somewhat financing, even though we're not experts. We're not experts on any of it. And we definitely speak against feminism, the red pill, and we are for traditional marriage because we believe that is the best way to live your life as a married couple, because there's just more success as a traditional marriage. Yep. Way more success. So
just our opinion.
Yes.
Not saying that we're better than anybody else that it's our way, but we are. No, it's our way or the highway.
Yeah. So last episode, we talked about statistics of marriage. Statistic of divorces. We talked about that, and some of these statistics are pretty shocking. So at the end of the video, you'll see it on the screen at the end of the video. I think over here at the end of the video, you'll see the link to that last episode if you haven't seen it yet. So watch till the end, and then you'll get that. So I'm looking for my phone that has my phone has all the statistics that we're going to talk about today. So since last week we talked about divorce statistics, we are going to talk about how divorces affect children.
Statistically, right?
Yeah, this was in 2022. This was by legaljobs.io. How I don't know. I was just going through these statistics, so I never heard of this site, and I'm gonna put a link in the description below, so you guys can look at it, and you can also try to find statistics somewhere else. This is pretty much like the easiest to read statistics that I could find. There were other statistics where I really literally had to dig through and go through all the and just try to compile the statistics myself, where this website, it just lists it right there for me. So it's just, so I was basically looking for the site where it's easier to see the statistics, where I don't have to like, play detective and try to find them through this website on my own and compile the list on my own. But if you want to do that, hey, I encourage you to do that, because we feel, statistics are facts. And when you are equipped with the facts, you're better equipped in making any decision, especially with like finances. If you know how much money you have in the bank, you know what bills you can and can't pay. It's like that. You need to know the facts in order to move on. So anyway, so first one, says 37.6 of all marriages in the U.S. end in divorce. This is in 2022, which is a crazy, because last episode I said like about 50%. It seems like it's been fluctuating, but I also know people are getting married less. So we'll move on from that. So, but it says here 85% of people get divorced because of lack of commitment. That was a different statistic than we saw last week.
What do you mean? It's a different percentage?
Yeah. I think it was, I don't know. We're going to have to look back and find out. All right. So, okay, here we go. So according to statistics on children of divorce, roughly half of all children will see their parents' marriage break up.
Half of all children will see their marriage.
According to statistics on children of divorce, roughly half of all children will see their parents' marriage break up.
That's 50%.
Yeah, that's kind of sad.
Yeah.
But I wonder if this statistic is children when they're in their adolescence.
Well, they said children.
Yeah.
They said children.
Yeah, they didn't say people.
They didn't say, well, they could have said adult children.
Yeah.
If it's like they're older and...
I don't think that's what it means here. I think it means children. Well, we're thinking exactly what it is.
That's what I'm saying. That's what they said.
Can you imagine? Okay, imagine this statistic and you're a nurse. And you're a nurse in the, what do you call it? The unit where baby prenatal unit?
Neonatal unit.
Yeah, where the unit where you're delivering babies all day.
The maternity ward?
Okay, yeah. There you go. That's what it is. All right. So imagine being a nurse in that ward, and you know this statistic, and you're helping deliver these babies, and you're thinking half of these babies are going to have parents that are divorced. Mm-hmm. That's like, man, if you're a nurse and you work in a maternity ward, don't think that, because that's pretty pathetic. I mean, that's going to make your job a lot worse. So don't think that.
It'll be harder.
Yeah. So that's pretty sad. So, all right, 21% of children are being raised without their fathers in America.
What was the percentage?
21%.
Without the father.
Yeah.
Okay. You're out of your mind if you think that your children not having a father doesn't affect them.
Right.
Now, I would assume some of that, I don't know, statistically or percentage-wise, is like the father shouldn't be near the kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe there's abuse. He's just a really, he's a really bad guy.
Yeah, yep.
He shouldn't have anything to do with the kids anyways.
Right.
But that is not to say that it's not going to affect the children.
Right. So we're going to be spending a lot of time on this one. Let me tell you. So you're right. I mean, there are guys that are scumbags out there. This is why we need to teach. Not only, look, we know, I'm a guy, we know us men, we need to be better at treating women. But here's the thing. 21% of children are being raised without a father. I'm sorry, but a mom she can do the best she can to raise her son. Other rock star single mothers out there that raise very strong young men who become, you know, very good men in society. Yes, JD Vance, our vice president, was raised by a messed up single mother and a strong grandmother. Look at him. There are exceptions, but majority of boys who were raised in a home without a father, they are not raised to be good men, because women do not know how to raise men, because women are not men. The best way a boy can become a man is by having a man in his life showing him. Why do you think
modeling?
Yeah, why do you think boys follow their dads and think their dads are like superheroes and follow them around and think like, look at and want to like, I want to be like that. My dad just picked up this log. I want to do that. You know, girls don't think that. Girls will look at her father and see him pick up a log and like, oh my God, I want to do that. They were like, oh my God, my dad's so strong. I'm so glad he's in my life to protect me. And then they're going to see that and they're going to be like, I want that my whole life. So when I leave my father to be with another man, I want to be with a man that can do the same thing.
Yeah, so it's equally important, you know, the father to be modeling to the daughter what a husband should be and what it should look like.
Yeah.
A husband in a marriage should look like. You know, as a model for the daughter, and as, you know, to show like security, she's safe, right? Yeah. Taken care of, you know, and trust, and you know, learn to trust men, right? Because if it's the other way around, you're going to get the other kind of response. If not a great father in the home, or you know, and not a good model as to what a father should be, then you're going to get a totally different picture when it comes to the daughter. And then with the son, you're modeling to him what a husband looks like, and you know, within a healthy marriage and a happy, what kind of husband makes a happy home, right? And he'll grow up more likely to be with a girl, marry her, have a kid with her, and be there. Not be the scumbag and take off. Right, because he had a good role model. Yeah, because most of these men that do that did not have a good father in their life. I mean, either that or just didn't have a father to look up to be able to model after. Right. That's the thing. Right. So, you know, I'll also say, ladies, you know, you got to be careful who you end up with and, you know, who you sleep with, you know. And you might sit here thinking I'm saying, oh, it's all your fault. No, it's not. It's just like if, you know, I walk into a really bad neighborhood, I'm going to be careful and make sure I don't wave any money around. You know, that it's like the same thing. It's like the same type of logic. You know, you don't meet a guy and you're just going to be careful who you're with. Be careful who you're with, because you could get hurt, and there are scumbag guys out there. But, you know, but this just says, you know, children need fathers. There's a lack of fathers in this country, and we need more of it. I mean, if all those kids from Colombia had really strong fathers, I really don't think they would have done that in the dorms. They would have destroyed the dorms. Oh, excuse me. If we didn't have lack of fathers, I was like in Colombia. What are you talking about? Like Columbia University. Explain to those that maybe just missed the Columbia University. Thing. All those kids protesting for Palestine locked themselves in like these dorms, and then when they locked them in there, they were demanding food.
It's like, we're gonna occupy this building and disrupt class and for everybody else in the university and destroy this building.
Take over parts of the building.
You guys gotta feed us while we're doing this.
But we're gonna make demands.
Yeah,
like it's the exact like example,
right? I would say
as to what has happened to this generation.
If you talk to most of those kids, I bet you most of them did not have strong fathers in their life. They probably did not have a father, or an absent father, or they're just not strong fathers. It's either one of those three,
right? So
any of those, sorry, go ahead.
You weren't done.
No, I was gonna say there is a story about one kid that did have a strong father, right? Sorry, I'm like shaking this. There is a story about one kid that does have a strong father, and he told her, if you continue to do this, I'm not paying for college. She got out of there quick. She started going back to class and going back to her studies. So, I mean, it's just fathers are definitely huge. So when you see a statistic like that, it's just really sad. You know, you need strong fathers to raise strong men, to, you know, raise more strong men and keep that cycle going. Cycle going.
What I was going to say was, when you have like a weak father in the home, or a father who's there but is really not there, really isn't involved,
right,
isn't the head of the household,
right, yeah,
doesn't show good leadership, and you know, display safety to their children, I would say it's just almost as bad as a household that doesn't have a father in it.
Right. The father needs to have a strong leadership authority in the home and gain respect from his kids. I mean, my kids respect me. I'm not a monster to them. They love me, but they know if they don't act right, things are going to happen. You know, so for example, you know, our daughter, she has a boyfriend, our oldest daughter, and he was over here and it was getting late. He was here late. So I set a time. He went over that time for a minute.
By 1 minute.
1 minute he went over. So I brought it down a half hour.
Yeah.
And guess what? He's leaving 5 minutes. And my daughter too, making sure he leaves 5 minutes before the time he's supposed to leave. These are boundaries you got to set, because if I let that minute go, he would start
2 minutes.
He would start staying longer. No boundaries. And that dude doesn't hate me. I don't think he does.
No.
He respects me. My daughter doesn't. My daughter might have gotten upset at first, but she got over it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she's always upset.
And remember that
whenever
time
we do anything
remember
like
years
that.
ago with the phone? We took the phone and she flipped out. And I said, that's more time you have without your phone. You got to really set it. She did not have a mental breakdown. She did break down though. She did not have to go to therapy. You know, she didn't need a safe space. She just needed to calm down and clear her head and think, okay, I did this, and because I did this happened. So I'm not going to do this again, so this won't happen. And guess what? When she's out in the world and I'm not there to discipline her, her boss will, the authority, like the police will. So she knows I'm not going to do this because this will happen. Consequences. You got to teach your kids the consequences of their actions. You got to follow through. Not just the mother and the father. We got to be on the same page.
Well, they have to know that we're a united front.
Yeah, remember.
So, like, okay, don't be listening to him and then look at me like, Mom, do something.
Right.
And then I go, well, now, is that really fair to bring it down a half an hour? Now, I've stomped all over his authority. I've completely emasculated him.
And we're divided.
And they see that there's weakness here.
Yeah.
And that we're divided and we're not a united front on this issue.
Right.
And it's just going to get pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. And also, imagine if he was the kind of dad that is just literally clueless as to what's going on in the house.
We've met those.
If we know a lot of them.
And we've seen what their kids ended up being like.
It's not good. You know, like, imagine those...
People are going to watch this and be like, who's he talking about?
Who's he talking about?
Talking about
he better
me?
not be talking about me.
If you think that, no. Go ahead, sorry.
If you take those specific situations you were talking about, so they were pushing it with the time,
Right.
with him leaving.
Right.
Imagine if, like, I'm a little bit more lenient, I don't see a big deal out of it, and you never said anything. You would have set that limit. You would have said, okay, he's been here too late, so now he needs to leave by 10 o'clock every day. So you've set that.
Yeah.
And now he's leaving at 10:05, 10:10, and you're not saying anything. It's like a toddler.
Right.
That if they smack you in the face and you do nothing, or you laugh because you think it's oh so cute, they're gonna keep smacking
Right.
you in the face.
Yeah.
It's the same, like,
Right.
it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, here you are, you've set this limit, but then he starts leaving at 10:05 and 10:10, and you're noticing it and not even caring or saying anything. That, you know, that's like that uninvolved father. You know, or semi-involved, because you set that limit, but then you're also not enforcing it. You know,
Yeah.
you're not showing, like, well, I want to say, like, strength, but, like,
Authority. I mean, just
authority.
their
Yeah,
authority,
like,
yeah.
you're not showing authority, and
Yeah.
it's like the clowns are running the circus here.
Yeah, we're at the point where this kid knows if he messes up with Carissa, if, like, he, you know, hurts her anyway, in any way, he knows who's coming after him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he knows that Carissa has a team behind her.
That's our daughter, just in case anybody.
Yeah,
wondering.
when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, she had a past boyfriend years and years and years ago that, you know, we found out was, like, spending a lot of his time drinking.
Yeah.
And I confronted him, and he came in like, I'm in trouble, like I'm his parent.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
I probably didn't get that at home.
This is what I'm saying. So
But
it's
yeah.
like they know that, like, this stuff is not going to fly with our daughter.
Right, because I
Not going to
explained.
fly.
Right, because I explained to her, if he doesn't respect me, he's definitely not going to respect you.
Yeah.
So, you know, that it's a good sign to see that he respects the time. You know, when it's when he's here, everybody's like, oh, 10 o'clock at 9:30 during the week. But when they're out, they're adults.
Yeah.
When they're out, you know, but she's still living under my roof.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's like I want her home at a certain time. She obviously can come home later if they're out. But when he's in my house, that's when I want him out. At those times, and she respects that. All right, so let's I told you there was a lot to say on this one. A lot. Let's say this one. See, children are more likely to experience behavioral issues if parents divorce when the child is between the ages of 7 and 14.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
There's
so I mean,
there's like an age where
Well,
the statistics
I
start.
mean, you see. I mean, look, it says
well, probably because they're more aware at
Right.
that age. Yeah.
Right, and lack of discipline. There's no discipline in the home. The kids are probably being used for leverage.
Well,
you know?
yeah. Who knows with every like different situation with how the divorce went.
Yeah,
and the relationship that the parents are in
Right.
after the divorce. Are they civil? Or, you know, some people, you know, they get divorced and they're friends.
Yeah, the
you
kids are
know?
probably like I said, the
But-
kids are probably being used for leverage, or you know, when they're at mom's house, she's spoiling them, and when they were at dad's house, he's spoiling them to try to gain favor.
Yeah.
And there's no discipline going on because
Yeah.
the dad's like, I don't want to discipline my kids and be mad at them because they're going to think every time he comes here, dad's mad at me. And then they don't want to see me.
That's something that would need a lot of effort because we're talking about two different households here that would have to be on the same page with basically everything.
Yeah, one rule at mom's house,
one rule at dad's.
It's confusing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that's where you get behavioral issues. You know, kids start acting up because it's like, you know, oh, I can be like this at mom's house, and then you go to dad's house and be like, well, mom lets me do this.
And it's funny because that's basically common sense in a home with two parents too. It's all about consistency.
Yeah.
Consistency and follow through.
Yeah.
You know, we told Carissa, you know, if you mess with the with the time there, you know, there's going to be consequences.
Yeah.
And then they messed with the time and there was a consequence.
Yeah.
I think that is like one of the like biggest factors in kind of like gaining your kids' respect as the authority, because first off, you don't ever like threaten with something that's not realistic.
Right.
You know, it's gotta make sense, and you know you're gonna follow through with it.
Right. Not like, if you act up, we're not going to grandma's house for Christmas.
Yeah. That reminds me of the episode on Modern Family where he took away Christmas.
Oh.
He was like, if you don't tell me who did this to the rug, then no Christmas tomorrow. It's like, it's the perfect example.
Yeah.
Because like, he didn't want to follow through with that. Nobody was coming forward with who did that, I don't know, spot on the rug or whatever. And it's a mess.
What was that video? I don't know if we watched it. I don't know if we watched it on one of the earlier episodes. It's that dad. I think in an early episode we watched where his daughter was leaving and she wasn't dressed really. She was kind of dressed provocatively, and he was saying, don't blame your daughter, blame the boys. There was another video, I don't know if we watched it on here, where he basically grounded her. But then he says if there's like a homecoming game or a dance she wanted to go to, she can go. And
even though she's in the middle of being grounded?
Yeah. He's like, because I don't want to take memories away.
Inconsistency.
He's like, because I don't want to take memories away from her. I mean, she's not. I see your kid.
But that was her choice. You said, don't do this. And then she went and she did this, knowing that if you do this, you can't go to prom.
Right. Like, if we grounded our daughter and she couldn't go on a homecoming, she's not going to grow up and sit there in front of a therapist and be like, well, you know, where did all this trauma started? It started when my dad grounded me because he caught me.
Go to prom.
He caught me smoking a cigarette, so he grounded me and I couldn't go to prom.
Do you remember
having a result of a consequence? It's not going to mess a child up. It's not going to take away their memories. It's going to make them learn. I'm not going to do this.
Stop and think is what it's going to do.
Yeah, it's going to make them think like, I'm not going to do this because there are consequences.
Mm-hmm. And that's going to be life. Do you remember the time we took away Santa when Carissa was a toddler?
I don't remember that.
Because we were supposed to be going to go see Santa. And I don't know. I forget what she did. She must have been being a brat or something. Yeah. And we were like, all right, no Santa. So we didn't go bring her to go see Santa that year.
I don't ever remember it. I doubt she does.
I don't know. I remember it.
Yeah.
I remember it. I was like, I'm the worst mom ever. Yeah. Why did we threaten with no Santa? Like, see, you learn as you parent.
I think that's a good one, though. I mean, you're not going to traumatize your kid if there was 1 year.
Because you're not going to bring them out in public. You know what I'm saying? Like, if your child is acting up, you're going to reward them by bringing them out in public and, like, let's go do this fun thing. Yeah. That's the thing. It has to be a realistic consequence. and you have to be ready to follow through with it. You have to. I saw this a lot, even like in daycare. I worked in daycares, and I saw this a lot with you know, with parents and their children. It went the school went all the way up to like pre-K, so they were a little bit older. But the amount of child making all the decisions for the parent was insane. And I'm talking like
would do that.
Like little, like toddlers, they're calling the shots. They it's unbelievable what I've seen.
Hey, I just realized something. Sorry to interrupt you. I know why it's darker.
Oh, the lights are down.
Let me turn them up.
Hello. Why didn't we even think of that? I could have just done it, hun. Hello. Way different. Careful. Ugh. Anyway.
Sorry, guys. I was like my ADHD because right in the beginning we were like, "Why is it dark in here? Why
does it look so dark?"
I thought it was the camera. I thought it was this. No, it was the lighting.
Yep, we're messing with the computer. Anyways.
Yeah. So you're talking about disciplining, like the daycare.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, just even very, very, very young, just literally witnessing parents not follow through, or literally the child or the toddler is making all the decisions, you know, and it's, don't even get me started on gentle parenting.
Yeah, I know. And
that'll be another video for another time.
And these are parents.
This is, you know, this is why we're saying, like, you have to be... And we understand that it would be hard because you're talking about two different households that would have to be on the same page.
I'm not bored of what you're saying. Sorry, I don't know why I just yawned. Sorry,
which means a lot of work on both the parents' side, you know, and then like together, like they would have to be in communication all the time. Like listen, if our child does this, what do you think we should do? And then you like agree or whatever, understanding that it's two separate households and you don't need to do everything exactly the same. But if you understood the importance of consistency when it comes to a child, it's very important. And they yearn for limits.
Right.
They yearn and they want limits. They want you to set limits. That's why they're constantly testing them.
That's why when they do something bad and then they look at you.
They look at you. Yep. Yeah. They're like, oh, or they're literally testing you. Like if they do something and you're like, don't you? And then like they do it again.
Yeah, because they want to see if you're really gonna.
They need to see that limit has been set, you know. What's the next one?
So the next one is children with divorced parents are twice as likely to attempt suicide.
Twice as likely.
That's a dark one. So there's some information right here. It says the fact that suicidal thoughts are considerably more widespread among minors from broken homes is one of the most worrying effects of divorce on children. Now, this does not mean that you should stay with someone you no longer love because of the increased risk of suicide for your children. That's true. I mean, look, if one, like we talked about last episode, if one wants to end the marriage, they don't want to fix it, they want to leave. You can't force
them
this marriage to stay for the kids because you're afraid. It says they're more likely. It's not saying that they are. They are more likely. So there are some things that would happen to make them more likely to be suicidal. So if you're two people that decide, look, we're not going to marry, but we're not going to stay married, but we have these children and we have to be civil to each other and we have to agree on things to each other when it comes to our kids. And we have to love on our kids the same. Everything we do have to be for our kids. Our relationship together depends on our kids, even though we are not in love with each other anymore. And now it takes some strong adults to do that. Put feelings aside when it comes to your kids, especially if the other spouse hurt you.
Right.
And you still got to deal with the spouse that hurt you because you have kids.
Yeah.
Now, I think a lot of times when people get divorced, no one goes through therapy. This is a traumatic situation.
It's a very traumatic.
No one goes through therapy. They don't send their kids through therapy. I mean, that would be a smart thing to do. Give them a couple of sessions. They need somebody to talk to about this. They might not want to, there might be things they want to talk about. They're not going to talk about with you because you're the ones that caused this trauma they're having.
Yeah. So I think a misconception of therapy is that you have to be messed up in order to go.
Right.
The way I see it is you should go before you get messed up.
Yeah. I mean,
I mean, you know that your family is about to undergo a massive change, some massive trauma, a lot of emotions, and before, you shouldn't have to see the symptoms. You know what I'm saying? If you can prevent them.
Right, because a lot of time therapy helps you learn different behaviors, help you learn to react to certain things. It gives you tools, it gave us tools on how to handle certain situations that we've been in. And I think it'll help your child cope in certain ways. I mean, our 19-year-old went through therapy, helped her cope with some anxieties that she's had.
She's still in therapy. She'll be in therapy probably for the rest of her life.
Yeah, because she has a disability, so she needs help coping and with certain things and handling certain things. Because
tactics.
Because
different tactics on how to handle things.
She's not like every other 19-year-old that's out in college and driving and
boys.
She's not like that. Therapy gives you tools to help you handle certain situations. That's why I think it's good because kids aren't born knowing how to deal with divorce. They're in this world where they feel so safe. They're in a home. Mom and dad is there. Now that world is torn apart. They're like, what
is going on?
They think it's their fault. They think they see other kids with their mom and dad, and it's traumatic. So they need. Yeah. So it seems like. I mean, I don't even know
whether you do it the healthiest way possible or not. Yeah. It's still a massive shift in their world.
Yeah, so I would,
you cannot deny that your kids, unless they're extremely young, extremely young, you can't deny that they're going to be affected by it.
Yeah. I mean, I think they'll be affected even when they're extremely young, even though they don't remember the divorce. If they're like 2 years old,
if they grow up without a dad,
they're gonna grow up and they're gonna be like, dad doesn't live with mom and mom doesn't live with dad. But these kids, their mom and dad live together. What, you know?
Yeah.
So there are things like that. So I mean, that's what I would recommend. I mean, as people who went through therapy, I went through therapy with my wife, and I went through therapy on my own. I mean, as somebody who's gone through it does help. And it's not something you have to take forever. It's something you could take for several months, and then it could be like on your way. Hey, here are some tools. We talked about it. It seems like you're handling it pretty good. Go. You're good. If you ever feel like you want to go back and relearn some of them and get a little bit more help, do that. But I think it will help. And I just, I really think that's probably something like lawyers should suggest. Like, hey, you're going through a divorce. Have you gone through therapy? Have kids?
Do you what's your support?
Yeah.
I think like another thing that's, that like people think of therapy is that, I don't know what I was going to say.
This happened to me last week.
No, you took too long. I was like,
it's my fault.
It's his fault.
See,
I was
this is a fight.
No, I've been writing notes and stuff.
That's a good idea. We should probably do that. Have like little notepads.
I usually I jot down like a bullet word. So because
it might come to you.
No, but it also it helps me with interrupting you too, because I feel like I interrupt you because I'm afraid I'm gonna forget what I was gonna say. So I don't have my notepad.
That's all right. It'll come to
Anyways.
you. We'll move on. We'll move on to the next one. I feel like we exhausted this
Yeah,
one.
we're good.
Okay. Okay. Children with divorced parents are 4 times as likely to have trouble fitting in. So they might feel like an outcast, like I talked to, like we just said, like, hey, Timmy lives with mommy and daddy. Sarah lives with mommy and daddy. Why don't I live with mommy and daddy? What, or say daddy takes off. All my friends, if it's a girl, all my friends get to go to daddy-daughter dances. I don't, because my daddy's not here. Or the boys, it's like, look at all my friends with their dads, at their football game and helping them. Where's my dad?
I wonder what the age is. Say, mom and dad were never together.
Right.
And, the baby this is what they know. Just
out of wedlock,
Well, grew up with mom, maybe dad's not. So this is normal life is just mom.
Right.
I wonder at what age, maybe that's the age that they're talking about in the statistic, where they start to notice. And it starts affecting them.
It doesn't say a specific age. This says children. It says among children, the divorce statistics is one indicating that children from broken homes tend to have more difficulty interacting with their peers.
No, the last one. It said something about age, right?
Oh, the one before it. There was one before. It says 7 and 14. Between 7 and 14. They experience behavioral.
7, they start to
behavioral issues.
I don't know.
I mean, it could be around the same age, 7 to 14. I figure that those are children. I mean, I would say 5. Anything younger than 5 is a toddler.
Yeah.
Isn't toddler like 2, 3, and 4?
Up to 3.
Yeah.
I think 3, 4.
So, I mean, that kind of goes hand in hand. I mean, not feeling like they're fitting in, more likely to, have suicidal thoughts. I mean, they might feel like loners because they don't have the confidence as kids. Most kids do who grow up in a mother and father home with a mother and father. Those kids have more confidence.
Yeah,
they're healthier because they have a healthier. No, that's what it said. It says when children are frustrated, confused, or unhappy with the situation at home, they can act out and take it out on their friends, and they may even grow resentful towards children.
So it's a socializing thing.
Right, like,
they don't know how to really handle their emotions, and then it actually affects their socializing and what's appropriate and not appropriate.
Right, yeah, because they don't feel like they belong because they don't have this complete family unit, a mother and a father. It's not like a complete family unit, mother, father, and a brother and a sister. It's like, no, it's a mother and a father, having a mom and a dad, complete family unit. We're complete. I have my dad, I have my mom. I have my mom for comfort. I have my dad for discipline to set me straight, and it's really, it does help. I mean, we're reading it right here. So next one, teenagers whose parents divorce are more likely to experience mental health issues.
Well,
we're seeing that on TV and the internet.
Wouldn't that tie in with the suicide thing?
Oh yeah, I mean, you got to have mental health issues to have suicidal thoughts.
Yeah,
I mean, it is. It's like I said, I think it's lack of having a therapy. I mean, you got to have some therapy.
Well, you're taking something away, you should add something in.
Yeah.
You're taking away that security that they had when mom and dad were married, living in the same house. Now things kind of feel like unsure.
Yeah.
Unsure. So it's like you take something away, you should add something in. So, whether you like it or not, your children aren't going to tell you everything.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't, if you're super close, I get it. I'm close with all of my girls. There's probably stuff that they have felt that they haven't voiced to me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like we would have to sit down for a session
Right.
in order for me to like, especially get stuff out of Maya. She's very reserved.
Right. She's just like,
Yeah, she's very chill. She's like, whatever, you know, so I feel like I would have to sit down and have like a legit like therapy session of our own. But it's just bringing, you know, adding something in if you're taking something out. If you're about to flip their world upside down, add something in to help with the blow.
Right. And where do they probably look to fill in that empty space? The internet.
Yeah.
The internet is not a good place for lonely teenagers
nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, they get involved in something that's messed up, and they start thinking
them up further,
different things. Like they might think they're an animal or a different gender or whatever, and it's really it's just not good for them. I mean, this is why we so believe in working on your marriage and fixing your marriage, and
before you do something drastic like this.
Not divorce should be the last resort, and we're not talking about, like, again, we're gonna say this every time because we always feel, look, we're not big enough where we might get a comment on here. One day we will, but every time we say this, work on your marriage, we're not talking about work on your abusive marriage. If your spouse is abusive to you, we're not talking about that. We're talking about silly things
like we grew apart, or we fell out of love. Well, then fall back in love.
What was it in the beginning?
Do the work. You fell in love because both of you were probably doing the work at the beginning.
Oh yeah, commitment issues, things like that. It's like, all right, we'll work on those commitment issues. All right, so we're going to move on to some long-term effects of divorce in children. 70% of prison inmates incarcerated for a long-term sentence grew up in a broken home.
Did you just say 70%?
70% of them.
Well, it's...
There's a saying, fathers keep sons out of prison and daughters off of stripper poles. There's a saying out there
there's a saying for you.
So what we're going to say?
What? No, nothing.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's... No, I thought you were going to say something. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty big. I mean, this is just shows...
that it should be a last resort.
Yeah.
It should be after you have exhausted everything else. You have looked at your circle of friends that you have around you. Are they for your marriage or are they against your marriage? Are they all divorced around you? You know, look at your lifestyle, dude. Is your focus on your husband? Is your focus on your family? You know, like,
right. And
it's crazy to me that, you know, if it's almost looked at as like weakness if a woman is like basically like, I love to cater to my man, I love to make sure that he's happy, that he's healthy, that you know, you do your mental check-ins with your husband, make sure that he's okay. If you love doing things for your husband, then you're some sort of slave. I love cooking for him. I always have. Even when we were dating, when we were young, I used to cook for you.
Yeah.
I've always loved cooking for you. You know, and I like taking things off your shoulders so you don't have to worry about doing them. And you probably the same, but it's just different stuff.
Right.
You know, you're not over here thinking like, I gotta cook so she doesn't have to, unless I'm sick. If I'm sick, he's like,
I'll
Mr.
get the mac
Mom.
I'll get the mac and cheese box.
Yeah, right. No, you get.
I'll be healthier now with RFK in there.
No, you get the menu so you can order takeout. That's what you get.
That's what you want, anyways.
That's usually what I want. I want soup, and he can't make soup. But yeah, so it's backwards. You know, women should be like, I think that's awesome that like you put such a big focus on your husband, you know, and that
women who would say that have strong marriages
that's
themselves.
what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying it's important to look at your circle around you. When you're like, oh my God, I love cooking for my husband, and everybody around you go, what are you, his slave?
Yeah.
You might want to take a second look around.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I would think most women that would do that are divorced or single women. But I mean, I would say, you know, if you do get divorced, I'm not saying put all your focus on your children, but you got to make yourself happy. You got to make sure you are happy, because when your children see mom and dad happy, even though they are not together, they will be happy. And when they see mom and dad,
sense of security.
Exactly. I mean, even when mommy and daddy are working together, and to make sure make sure that their children are safe, even though they're not living together, it does help your children grow up to be better human beings. And I feel like a lot of times people who get divorced, they're bitter and they just become selfish because it's about their own feelings, and then they kind of neglect their kids, they forget their kids. Look, it's not everybody. I'm just saying there are some people like that. But
not all.
But there are some marriages that are necessary, and it's going to be better for the children. There are, everybody's different. Yeah, but we're talking about statistics here.
We're talking about
statistic. It's not every situation.
Majority, not
every
majority.
Situation is not anecdotal. Okay, a lot of them are similar, and a lot of situations, kids have the same type of experience. Mom and dad separated.
I think
doesn't matter how. Mom and dad separated.
I think because of social media, and there's literal like accounts now for like glorifying divorce.
Right.
Because of social media, because of that, I think unfortunately divorce has been taken more lightly.
Yeah.
And it should be. And that's not to say that, like, you got divorced because you don't care about your family or you don't care about your kids. I'm just saying, like, overall, as a broad thought, there are accounts where it's a divorced woman and she's glorifying her divorced life and comparing it to when she was married and how horrible it was, and she's so much happier by herself. Yeah. Okay. Gonna get to an age where that's gonna come back to bite her.
They're gonna be happier, they say.
We're happier.
Or most of the time they're not. So I'm gonna say one more, and then we're gonna move on to I think we'll do the TikTok video, and then we'll do the Reddit story
talk
last. So there's one. I'm gonna just go through one more. So I'm gonna put the link to this website. I think I already said this. I'm gonna put the link to this website in the description. So if you want to look at these yourselves, or compare them to any other site that you might look at. So children are at a greater risk of living in poverty if their parents get a divorce. I mean, we've seen that. I mean, we've seen.
So what does it say under it though? What does it say as its explanation?
This is one of those. Let me put it over here. All right, so this is one of those children of divorced parents statistics that may not come as a surprise when you consider that getting a divorce can often mean that households have to make ends meet on a single income. So, all right.
So it's financially, basically, is what they're trying to point out.
So say if, like, the mother lived with, the mother was a stay-at-home mom and the father had a really good income. She might get child support, but it's not like living in the house that he's paying for, buying the groceries that he from his income and all of that stuff. It's like, you get child support, this is what you get. That's going to be enough to pay for the kids' shoes and portion of
clothes, the
food. Now you got to support yourself. You got to pay the electric bill, the rent, and all that stuff. Now you got to go back to work. And now that you got to go back to work, you got to figure out how to get the kids to school while you're working. And
that's why we at the beginning we were saying you can be a super mom,
right?
Like you're probably an incredible mom, but you're never going to be the father,
right?
You are probably an incredible, hardworking, very like all about your kids, they're your life, but you're the mom.
Right. Yeah.
I hate when they're like, oh, like I'm divorced, so I'm the mom and the dad.
Yeah.
Or the whole like, oh, maybe I should celebrate Father's Day too because I'm the father too.
Yeah.
You're not.
Oh God. Yeah.
Good Lord, you're not. You will never be the father.
No.
You're the mother. You're a very, very loving, hardworking. You're killing it, mother. But you'll never be the father.
No. Children need their father. They do.
And then it goes vice versa too.
So yeah, so I think that's, in where, hey, or it could be both of you were working and you were able to pay the bills with both incomes. Now there's two separate households now.
Yeah.
Both of the incomes were taking care of one. Now it's two.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that
either
could
way,
happen too.
Either way, yeah.
And now the kids could have been living in a nice home. They had their own room. Mom, they never went without because mommy and daddy both worked. Now the kids might have to share a room. Mm-hmm. They might have to go without because mom can't afford it or dad can't afford it on their own because
it's a change.
It is. It's a
change.
big change.
It's a change and a sacrifice.
Yeah,
So this is why. I mean, if you want to like go back to the Bible, this is why God suggests marriages forever.
Yeah.
Okay. But even God knows if you're in danger. So you go back to that again. We don't mean every situation. Okay. If there's abuse or whatever, but like there's a reason why the Bible says what it says. It's because it's for your good. And
the Bible also teaches how to be a godly husband and a godly wife. Mm-hmm. And
and you can't pick and choose when it comes to the Bible. You either follow the Bible or you do not.
Yeah.
You don't pick and choose. You like this, you don't like that, throw that out, bring this in. This is not.
This gave me an idea for the next episode. We're going to talk about feminism and how we feel like, how we've seen how it's kind of infiltrated the church. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, feminism has no room in a godly marriage.
No room.
Feminism hates biblical traditional marriage. So I'll go through some Bible verses and we'll talk about it on the next episode. So, all right. So, so let's move on to,
you want to do the video?
Yeah, we'll do the TikTok video. I only seen like a portion of it because I was like, you know what? I want to see.
You didn't even watch the whole thing. We might be in trouble.
No, I want to see it's going to be a good video. I wanted to see it kind of for the first time with you. And it's kind of good.
That's not a good idea.
Yeah, honey. I think we're gonna agree. We're gonna agree with everything she's saying.
Okay.
We're just gonna react to it and just kind of add our own thoughts. Our own thoughts to it. All right, here we go.
Are you saying that couples that experience big problems and then work through those problems are happier from your point of view than couples that never experience problems to begin with?
Those couples who really go all chips in to fix it, their marriages are more glorious and beautiful and intimate and astonishing than any average couple with a really great marriage because they get forced into work by the pain and the not giving up. It's because we don't choose hard work unless we're forced to.
That's right.
Absolutely. I don't know a young married couple who opts into doing the level of work that my sexual pain and affair cases do.
So what they're saying is that couples who go through hardship and come out of it are much better than couples who never go through hardship.
Because the amount of work you've had to do just to get out of that hardship, to get out of that situation, and still be on the same page by the time you get out of it. Yeah. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of dedication, a lot of like intimate, probably a lot of intimate talking, time spent, stuff like that.
Yeah, because it does make you stronger because you're working harder for your marriage. You're working a lot harder. You're not just coasting through. And it's like somebody who is just naturally healthy versus the person who has to get healthy by going to the gym and exercising. The person who goes to the gym, exercises, loses weight, gains muscle, is going to end up being in a better shape than the person who was never out of shape, never overweight, and just naturally had a good metabolism. So yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, like us, we've gone through poverty, we've gone through loss. We know what it's like to have our home foreclosed on us. We know what it's like to have our car repoed. We know what it's like to have one car with 2 jobs, kids in school. We know what it's like to have to go on food stamps and go to food pantries and get assistance for Christmas presents for our kids.
We had to have a family sponsor our kids to get them presents one year.
And now we're doing it.
And
we just had a couple of boxes.
Yeah.
I
love it.
Yeah. I feel like we're in a better financial situation now. We always want to be in a better financial situation, but we're better than we were back then. But I feel like we appreciate things a lot more. We're not always going, like, we still drive used cars. We're not sitting here going, yo, you make more money, brand new cars. We're just going to the dealership, getting a brand new car. You have a high car payment, you can afford it. No, we appreciate what we have. We find a good car that's used. We're not spending our money like crazy. Sometimes we do, but like not all the time. It
happens.
Not all the time, but like we're just more appreciative for the things we have, and in the meantime, we're still gonna build. When we have this podcast that we're building, God willing, it'll get much bigger. But in the meantime, we're happy.
It's to me, it's like when you have to work to earn your first car.
Yeah.
You're going to treat it like a baby.
Yeah.
You're going to bring it through the car wash all the time.
Oh, yeah. I remember those days.
Like you appreciate it more.
Yeah.
So when when your circumstances, your situation has almost forced you to work harder on your marriage, you appreciate it more in the end.
Yeah, you do.
And every marriage is gonna go through stuff. And the thing is like, like those couples that are like, we don't fight.
Yeah, they do.
Well, first off,
just not in front of you.
Just not in front of you. But if that's seriously the case, I would say that that's more of an unhealthy marriage that does fight. Because to me, it's like you're burying things deep down. Both of you are burying things deep down, and you're not facing it head on. And we always have faced everything head on. I think that's how you get to know your spouse, like on such an intimate level that you'll never know anybody else that well. Right. And nobody else will know you that well. Right. You have that relationship, where like you have to go deep. Yeah. And, but yeah.
Okay. They're going to keep going with that one. No, yeah. I really agree with a lot what she's saying. I mean, because we went through it. But it's just like, I don't really think it's a flex if you coast through your marriage and you're like, we never had problems, you never had issues. Yeah. To me, that says one person was the yes person, usually the man.
Yeah.
Happy wife, happy life.
It's such a toxic phrase.
If my wife is happy, I'm happy. No, come on.
No.
That's just really bullcrap. Look, husbands, we all want to make our wives happy. Making our wives happy, doing stuff for them makes us happy. I'm not denying that, of course. But how can we make them happy if we're not happy.
Yeah, if you're tired all the time, miserable, depression among men is high.
I could be sitting here going, oh, it was me. Nothing's going right for me. But I'm going to do this for my wife and make her happy. Like, come on. It's really a dumb saying, and it really, it's a one-sided, it says it's a one-sided marriage. It's all about the wife. It's all about her. You're just there. You're just there. You're the wallet. You're the pick up the thing up top of the shelf person. You're the couch mover. You're the trash taker outer or whatever. That's it. I mean, you got to be happy. And a wife that takes time to make her husband happy, like, you have no idea.
It will be reciprocated.
What that does, because a man is out there. Yes, women are out there too. Men are treated differently out in the world than women are. Men are out there, and they get beat up. They're getting told they're creep. They have to be careful where they look, because they might be told they're creeps. You can't be friendly to everybody. You can't open the door for everybody nowadays.
I know, even opening the door.
We're out there. We're getting beat up, and when they come home and their wife does, it's the simplest thing. Like, I'm not saying you have to do this, but if I came home and you had a hot cup of coffee at the door waiting for me, welcome home. I would be like, oh my God. This is the greatest thing. I'm not saying you have to do that.
And if I say,
just giving an example.
If I say that I do that, then women think that, like, you're controlling, probably.
Yeah, and it's just
that
it
you
is
make me do
so
that kind of
simple.
stuff. And it's like, why? I can't believe it is this outlandish for women to want to make their husbands as happy as possible.
Right.
And whenever you can take anything off their shoulders, you do. Yeah. And you want to know why? Because it's going to be reciprocated the other way. He's going to do the same for you.
Yeah.
This is a balanced marriage. That's what a balanced marriage is. When it's all about the wife, because happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
And always, like, making sure she's taken care of, and that is to be expected. Like, you're expected to treat her like a queen, but does anybody ask what she does for you?
Yeah, it's funny because, you know what, feminists will probably be angry at you for bringing a cup of coffee at the door for me when I come home. Right. But the other day, on a Sunday morning before church, when I drove to Dunkin' Donuts, because we had no coffee in here, I drove to Dunkin's and got you a nice coffee.
Yep.
And you weren't even up out of bed yet.
No, nope, I literally woke up to a coffee on my bedside.
The feminists would be like, yeah, you should do that.
That's right. Yeah, that's
but
how you should be treated.
Her not having to get out, drive into town, and then drive home. All she had to do was just pour a cup, because usually I take my coffee black. She just had to pour coffee in a cup and walk to the door. That's too much. Feminists will say that's too much. That's insane. It boggles my mind.
Why are you doing that when he can get his own cup of coffee?
Yeah.
That's the mentality right now. This is what women are up against with their relationship with their husband.
Right.
This is what they're up against, because it's constantly, like, banging them in the head. Like, well, if I do this, is it because I feel like it's expected, or he has me under some kind of control?
Now,
like, maybe I shouldn't be nice to him. Like,
right.
It's crazy. This is what women are up against.
Now,
right
going
now.
back to, like, the children of divorce, then they live there with their mom, and a lot of times divorced women hang on to this feminist ideology, and they're pumping it into their daughters. Pumping it into their daughters, and then pumping it into their sons, where their sons is like, my happiness doesn't matter. It's all about making my girl happy. My happiness doesn't matter. It's all about happy wife, happy life. and becomes miserable.
It stinks.
And then the daughter becomes miserable because nothing will make her happy, because that's what feminism teaches you. You demand everything, but nothing will satisfy you.
And you're never happy.
Yeah.
It stinks, though, because when, instead of just being bitter to that one man, now you hate all men.
Yeah. Except their fathers and their brothers and their sons.
They forget that they have a father.
Anybody
they have
that's
brothers,
not related
they have
to.
cousins.
Any male I'm not related to.
Yeah.
So so I think that's all our thoughts on. I don't know if you have any more thoughts on that.
I think I'm good.
So, all right, let's move on to this Reddit story. All right, so it's gonna be a lot because there's like 3 pages, kind of.
3 what?
So, all right, this one here. All right, so I'm gonna read it on my phone because I think I can read it better.
I thought you said you could pop that up.
It's not working.
It's not. Oh, good, shocking! It's not working.
Yeah, I was just trying to press it and it wasn't working. All right, so bear with us a moment.
Yeah, hold on a second.
All right, so all right, it says here, just removed my wife from my bank account.
Huh.
All right, before we judge,
Trust issues.
From the first line right there.
The first line.
That's where you go. That's where you go. Like,
trust
there's
has
some
been
trust
broken.
issues.
Trust has been broken. That's what I think. Right
So
away.
my wife, 39. No, me, who's 39, and my wife, who's 40, my wife was fired from her job 10 months ago. She violated a company policy and got caught. I'll leave it at that.
You can't really leave that at that. What do you mean?
What did she do? So she wasn't particularly happy at that job. So maybe she violated company policy on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I told her to take a 1-month sabbatical and figure out what she wanted to do with her career going forward versus just filling the gap with another job she'd end up hating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. You're like, hey, babe, no rush. Take some time. Figure it out. 1 month turned into 3 months, which she blamed on her having to plan her sister's wedding, which, to be fair, was a full-time job. Okay, she was planning her sister's wedding. She was very involved. Okay. And her parents staying with us for 1 month after that. They live outside the country. Okay. I didn't make a fuss about it. Okay, hey, you're being very reasonable. You're being, that totally get it. Mm-hmm. All right. Let's see where it goes wrong. However, now it's been 10 months and she's only had one interview. She doesn't want to go back to work.
She's had one interview in 10 months.
Yeah, she's not putting in anything close to resembling a reasonable effort. Getting her to look for and apply to jobs feels like reminding a teenager to do their job. To do their homework. Look, guys, when I change screens and it kind of goes like this, I don't know how to change that. I'd rather it just like the next pop up instead of making it look like we're going like this.
Yeah.
I don't know how to change that.
We'll figure it out.
Anybody knows, let me know.
Yeah. Put it in the comments if you know how to fix it.
So if that's annoying to you guys, I apologize. All right. So here we go. Moving on with the story. She instead spends all day working on her hobby of pottery ceramics. All right. Well, she's not sitting around doing nothing.
Well, can she sell these pottery ceramics?
Well, I think it's going to move on to that. She talks about turning it into an actual business and even made $500 selling some of her work at a neighborhood festival a couple of months ago. All right.
Okay.
I've tried to be supportive and talk to her about coming up with a plan to turn it into a real business and or getting a small-time, part-time job to bring in some income while she builds the business. But she doesn't seem to care about either one of those and has no sense of urgency. Okay, here's the thing. If she likes building pottery, all right, your mom, she made all those flowers at her wedding. And they looked amazing.
She always did floral arrangements.
So she liked doing it, and it made her feel good, right? It made her feel good. She never thought of building into a business. my mind, the way I work, I'm thinking turn it into a business. You can make money off of it. But sometimes with women, I mean, not all women, but I feel like, you know, I mean, men too. There's sometimes there could be a guy just like make carvings, you know, or make cabinets and, you know, sell them once in a while, not really make it a legitimate business. Because once you make a legitimate business, it becomes, there's more pressure now. It's not, it might not be as enjoyable.
It's not exactly your hobby anymore.
Right. So maybe
it's your livelihood now.
Right. So maybe she was like, hey, I made some, I'll sell it, make some money. I don't want to, you know, just make it because it makes her feel happy. Right. And here he is bugging her. You're going to make money off of this, you know. I'm assuming he's being like that. So I make enough to keep us afloat. Okay. So what's the problem? But we've had to cut back on a lot of things, including our retirement savings contributions. We've had
to sacrifice.
Okay, okay. Why are you cutting back on retirement contributions?
Yeah, why is that the thing?
Do you have really big car loans? Are you taking out other loans? Maybe you have a lot of credit cards. Maybe cut down on that stuff so you don't have to cut down. Cut down on that stuff, meaning pay them off. So you don't have to cut down on your retirement contributions. You know, so I've had to pull back about $7,000 out of savings over the past year as we learn to adjust our spending. Okay, good. You're adjusting your spending. You lost an income. In the event of an emergency, we will have to pull from savings immediately. Usually emergency funds are for that. So is the savings an emergency fund?
Well, that's what I was going to say. It doesn't sound like they have an emergency fund. They just take it from the savings.
It did. It says right here. It was the next line.
Okay.
In the past, we've always had an extra $10,000 on reserves for emergency. That, of course, is gone now. Why?
Because
what were you using for?
They didn't adjust.
They were probably using it for non-emergency things. Mm-hmm. So I worked hard in my career to be in a position to not have to budget much. Now I'm counting every dollar I spend. Okay, so here's the thing. She's home more, so she's probably spending more. So you both need to sit down together and go over a budget. It seems like
they've ever had a budget.
No, it seems like he's only making the budget and hoping she follows without sitting with her and probably telling her, this is the budget. No, even though you're the only one working and bringing in income, you and your wife go over the budget together. Mm-hmm. You don't tell her what the budget is. Because when you're married, it's both y'all's money. So I bring in income. It's her money.
It seems to me like he still thinks of like, she's not making any money and this is my money. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that, because it seems as though they have never sat and had that conversation where she says, I really just want to stay home. They're both still holding on to this. She's going to go back to work. So, like, in his mind, this money is his money that he's just kind of sort of letting her borrow.
Right.
You know, so then, like, she's going to go back to work and then everything will go back to
right.
Now, like,
no communication here.
When people ask us how we do, like, one income, it's always like, you're going to have to change things. You're going to have to make some big decisions, and you're going to have to sacrifice. And sacrifice doesn't mean you're going to have a crappy life because, like, we're talking like, oh, well, you're not going to have that much food,
right?
And you might not be able to pay all your bills,
right?
Like we're talking like, instead of going to the Bahamas for vacation, go for a weekend thing to Maine, or like we don't want for anything.
Yeah,
we don't want for anything. We are very comfortable. We are not filthy rich or wealthy, but we are very comfortable. We are one income. We were one income all through the pandemic. Everybody's like, oh, the pandemic screwed everything up.
You got to act your wage.
Act your wage. Like, I mean, yeah, we spend money, but we try to be organized about it, and you have to be realistic about it. Like, if you it just seems like she needs to say, I really just want to stay home.
Right.
And these are the reasons why. And then they can go ahead and make permanent adjustments to how they live their life. It's not just like, spend where they're spending their money or what, blah, 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 blah. It's literally everything is going to have to be adjusted, including maybe like something big, like maybe they need to move. Maybe they need to downsize. Maybe they need to sell a car. Maybe they need, like big things like that. And these are the things that people are not willing to do in order to live on one income. And then you'll hear people say, oh, you can't live on one income now, especially with all this inflation and the prices of things now. Meanwhile, we're living on one income. We're living on one income. We've been doing it for an extremely long time, and clearly his income has been different through the years. You have to live live within your means, and you have to be realistic. And it seems to me like she wants to stay home. Clearly, she's had one interview in 10 months, and she isn't exactly taking this pottery thing and running with it.
Right.
She wants to be home, and she needs to say that to him. Doesn't sound like she feels like she can say that to him, because he's still like counting on her going back to work. Like, when are you going back?
Right.
There needed to be that conversation where she just admits to him, I just want to stay home. And then they come together and decide on what needs to change, what needs to go, like big decisions that need to be made.
Right.
We had to do it, and we live a very good life, but we're not sitting here with, $150,000 worth of car in the driveway, or, planning our next $10,000 vacation or more, or cruise, or whatever. Like, these are choices that we have made because we see the value in me staying home.
Right.
And I'm not even just like a stay-at-home mom. Like, people think like, oh, well, the wife stays home until the kids grow up, and then she can go back to work.
I mean, there are women that do that.
There's women
you don't
that
have to do that.
That's fine. I'm not saying anything.
But I want to finish.
I'm not saying anything against that. But what I'm pointing out is that there's a value in a stay-at-home wife too, not just a stay-at-home mom.
Right. No, you're right. Yeah. Exactly.
Our kids are older.
She can still stay home after the kids. Yeah. After the kids grow. Yeah. So let's finish here. What he's saying is, or she's saying.
Yeah.
So no, him. Sorry. Usually these Reddits are from the wife, but this one's from the husband. I finally decided that she needs to understand the reality of the situation. So today I removed her from the access from our now my bank account. That is not a good way to do it.
Forcing her to go back to work.
That is not a good way. So we went to the bank together this morning and made the change. She went with you. So I plan
Does
on
she understand what that means?
I plan on giving her a monthly allowance of $400, bro.
Allowance? Bro. What's going on with my... Did I blow a...
Why, I can't hear anything?
No, this is like all...
How about now?
Hello? It sounds weird. I don't know. You'll have to listen after we're done.
Okay.
Sorry, technical difficulties as usual.
So my hope is that this limiting of funds will give her a reality check. I'm still paying the mortgage, groceries, insurance, bills, etc. So this allowance will go towards her discretionary spending. And they do not have children. Mm-hmm. Just curious if anyone else has faced an issue like this in your marriage and how you handled it. All right. First of all, bro, you do not take your wife off of your bank account. This is your money. This is her money.
He thinks it's his. He thinks it's his.
Right. It's her money as much as yours. The solution isn't to take her off of the bank account. The solution is to talk to her like she's your wife.
Not your child.
Express your concerns, listen to her concerns, and come up with a solution. Not you take charge and go, hey, you're off the bank account. I'm giving you a $400 allowance. Now, look, you might still agree on an allowance because you're the only income. Obviously, all the money that you make, she's not contributing financially. So, but you need to talk to her and be like, listen, if you want to stay home and be a housewife and work on your little pottery and maybe sell some on the side, fine. But this is the reality.
Yep.
We might have to sell some things. We might have to downsize.
We might have to move.
We might have to, we might have to sell the car and get a cheaper car. This is what you need to talk to her about. And taking her off the bank account.
And then giving her an allowance like a child.
She might agree with it. She might have agreed to it because maybe that was her way of saying, if he does this, he'll shut up about me going to work. But eventually, she's going to hate this and be angry at you.
Yeah.
How dare you do that to your wife? You don't cut her off.
Yeah.
You don't cut her off like she's your child.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to an allowance, say if you budget and you go, okay, let's say you make $1,000 a month, and $500 goes to the mortgage, $100 goes to electricity, $100 goes to groceries, $100 goes to gas, right? And then you have $200 left. So you might have $100 for whatever money for the month, and she has $100 for whatever for the month. If you want to do an allowance that way, that's fine. But taking her off the bank account,
that's not an allowance.
That's slimy.
That's not an allowance. You just said allowance. That's not an allowance. That's a budget.
No, like if you're giving her $400 a month to spend, because he's paying the bills.
I know he's giving her an allowance, but you're saying if you're budgeting and the money that she has, like, you just said like $200. You just called it an allowance.
Yeah.
No.
I'm saying that. But if you're budgeting that way,
it's budgeting.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you can call it like it's the $100 is his allowance and the $100 is the wife's allowance. I mean, I don't know. I don't like the word allowance because that's what you use with children.
Right. But that's how they used to do it way back in the day. You know, where she would have an allowance, he would have an allowance because there was no credit cards back in like 70, 80 years ago. There were no credit cards. So the only time you'd have cash is you'd have to go to the bank. And the wives always went to the bank for the husbands because the husbands would be at work while the banks were open.
Yeah.
You know, it's just now the last, decade or so, banks started being open on Saturdays and later so people can go after work and, when they're out of work. But yeah, man, this guy, they need to really sit down and really talk this out.
This is what happens when you bottle everything up. Weren't we just talking about like when I bet you they would say, we don't fight.
Yeah.
You also don't talk either.
Yeah, I want to see if there's any
I
want to see if there's any replies to it because I think I still have it here.
But it's like I'm saying, like it's a good example.
I didn't save it.
It's a good example as to what we were talking about before, where it's like it's better to have communication that might get you into an argument than to have no communication, bottle it all up, not even they're not even addressing it.
No, they're not.
They're not addressing it. She clearly wants to stay home. She's not saying, listen, I really want to stay home. And what do we need to do to make that happen?
Right.
What do we need to do so if I'm home, you're not this stressed out?
When you called me, when you called me, you saying you wanted to stay home. Look, I wasn't making good money. I was making terrible money.
No.
And
bad money.
We knew we were going to struggle. We were already on assistance. We were already on low-income housing. So we knew everything was going to be adjusted off of one income. And things, rent was going to get lower. We're probably going to get more food stamps because now we're on one income now. But still, we were still struggling. But I didn't.
Because our goal was to get off of that stuff, but to not need that stuff.
Right, yeah. But when you started staying home, I didn't go, okay, now you're off the bank account, and I'm just going to give you some money every month now. I didn't do that.
I would have been like, that's not going to work.
Because that's not what you do. You're a married couple. You're married. You share everything.
This is such a foreign concept when it comes to finances.
I know.
It's like you'll share children. You'll share a home. You'll share a bed. You'll literally share everything. But then when it comes to the finances, it's like completely separate.
Right. It's yeah. I mean,
and to me, that leaves space for an issue to arise. You know, within that space.
Right, and we'll go through that in another episode, talking about people have separate bank accounts. Couples have separate bank accounts who are married. And but yeah, I mean, if this was my friend of mine, if this guy was a friend of mine, I would really have to slap him on top of the head and be like, "Bro, what are you doing?
You don't do that to your wife.
She's not your child.
She's not your
12-year-old
teen. You know.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, if she had like a gambling problem, if she was gambling a lot and had an addiction, yeah. That's when you do that.
Well, that's when you take addiction. Her out. Right. Yeah.
But she doesn't. She likes to make pottery and she made some money. What's the big deal?
They haven't had that conversation where
she doesn't seem like she's a lazy wife, because if she was, he would have said it. So
yeah.
All right, so I think that's it. I know I got a little heated there on some guy that I don't even know.
Well, it's so disrespectful.
Yeah, it is. You don't treat your wife that way, man.
It knocks her down to the level of the children.
Yeah.
And it's no. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Follow us on Instagram. You can follow us on TikTok. I saw to figure out how to put my TikTok handle on here. I've only been putting the Instagram, but we have our own Instagram accounts, and then we have one together. So follow us on that. You'll see the handle, and please click subscribe, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell and the like button. So I'm learning. I don't even know how to say this.
Words.
Hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. So we come out every Tuesday, but if you want to hit the notification bell, that will help us too. But subscribe, hit the like button, comment, let us know what you think. Anything you agree or disagree with, we would like to know that too. Or if there's anything you want us to talk about, that will help us too.
Yeah.
That will help us, so I don't have to always sit here and think about what the subject for the next episode is going to be. So if you could help us with that as well, that would be great. So thank you guys. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. We'll see you guys next Tuesday.
Peace.
Peace.